back to the channel. My name's Faraz, I'm a Cambridge student. I'm about to give you 10 life-changing productivity hacks for 2023 so that you can do less work than ever before and achieve more than ever before. So let's get right into it. So the first productivity hack I'm going to recommend to you is something called timeboxing. Now, what is timeboxing? Timeboxing is essentially where you plan out your day as a list of tasks and you allocate a certain amount of time to each task and you follow this pretty much rigidly. So for example, let's say in a day I have 2 essays to write. I'll allocate myself 1.5 hours per essay, and with the attitude of I will get this done no matter what, do them in the time allotted. And essentially what this helps you do is get more done within a day, as you can pre-predict how long each task is going to take you, and therefore you can maximize how many tasks you complete in a day and also ensure you have some free time to yourself. So for example, if you plan to have all your tasks done by 8 p.m, then hopefully after 8 p.m. you'll be free for the day. Now, tip number 2 is something called the modified Pomodoro technique. I'm not sure if I've heard of this somewhere else, but it's essentially something I use a lot in my own studying and my own work. It's essentially with the Pomodoro technique where you have 25-minute timers and then 5 minutes of rest. Except you get rid of the 5 minutes of rest and you only work to 25-minute timers and then take rest when you need to. So for example, if I'm studying something that takes me 2 hours, I'll work in 25-minute time slots and not take rest in between. I'll set a 25-minute timer with the attitude of I'm going to focus for 25 minutes. Then I'll do that again and again and again until the task is done. What this essentially ensures is that you have full focus for the entire duration of the task. And it also helps it feel a bit more manageable, as essentially you're tricking your brain into thinking you're only working for 25 minutes at a time, when in fact you've been fully focused for hours at a time. So yeah, those are the first 2 productivity hacks that can really help you streamline your life in 2023. Right, so the third productivity hack I have for you is ruthless accountability. This is essentially having the attitude each day that no matter what, you will get the tasks done, that you won't sleep without getting the tasks done. So for example, if you say have 3 business-related tasks you need to do in a day, you do them as soon as you wake up and you don't stop working at them, bar eating and things like that, until you get them done. And this is essentially a really good mindset to have going into the new year. Set goals for yourself and have the attitude that no matter what happens, I'm going to get these done. Now, related to this, there's also something that I like to call the Fullsend principle, which is essentially that take a small number of tasks and try to do a small number of things at once and have the attitude that no matter what, I'm going to achieve this. So for example, let's say your diet's been slacking over a certain week. Have the attitude that over the next week, even if I don't get anything else done, I'm going to fix my diet. And that's what essentially I like to call the Fullsend principle. The attitude that if I could only do one thing, I'll make sure I do this thing, and therefore I will do this thing no matter what happens. Another thing that's really important in my opinion is writing everything down. So this can be things like putting all your daily tasks into a spreadsheet or just having a daily task list that you write at the start of each day. What this does is it basically takes off mental labor from your mind and it makes your day a lot more streamlined. If you take out the thought from everything you do, you can essentially work in a much more automated fashion and it makes things feel a lot more streamlined and a lot more automatic. So for example, instead of deciding at the start of each day what you're going to study, deciding as you study what you're going to study next, at the start of each study day you could just decide what you're going to study for the day and just like a robot do all of those tasks. So writing everything down, including your goals, really helps you visualize things and it also helps automate and streamline your life. And one of the most important things when you're busy is to automate as much as you can, such as automating your alarms, automating your meal times, for example, by meal prepping. Small things like that can really add up over time and really help reduce the mental load of stress when you're really busy. Now, another thing that I think is super important, especially for students, which might be a large demographic on this channel, is maximizing your efficiency when you study. So this isn't just being focused, but it's also using active recall techniques like Feynman blurting and flashcards. I'll do an entire separate video on studying, and that will be something that will be covered in a lot more detail on this channel. Another thing I think is super important and something that I strive to do in my daily life is getting the small things right. So this is things like waking up when you say you're going to wake up, not hitting snooze on the alarm, ensuring you don't waste time when you shouldn't be wasting time on your phone, turning off your phone, and just getting the little things right. Also making sure you're on time for everything really helps you control your time and make sure you actually stick to the plans that you set out for yourself. So I think getting the small things right is really important in life and helps you do the big things a lot more efficiently. Now, another thing I think is super important is having a good diet and drinking enough water. Not just in terms of health, but also in terms of how you feel and therefore how you function and how efficient you can be in 2023. Another thing I think is personally quite important, and that's something I love to implement, is going to the gym. Personally, because I think this really helps you drill in accountability, and the discipline you have from the gym can really carry over into other parts of life. Someone who goes to the gym 6 days a week can hopefully also disciplinedly study 6 days a week. So this is something that I think really helps shift your mindset and really helps you be consistent and accountable for the things that you want to achieve in life. Now, I've saved the best productivity hack for last. This is something I like to call boundary modeling, which is essentially in your mind or on paper, modeling what you think the best and worst case scenario of how your day goes is. So for example, let's say you have a day where you wake up at 10 and you plan to go to sleep by 10. Best case scenario is that you can go to the gym, eat properly, and get all your tasks done with time to spare then. Worst case scenario is that you have a major interruption and you might have to prioritize a couple tasks. Especially as a student, this is something that's really important, as you can sometimes unexpectedly have to get groceries or you'll have an unexpected social gathering, so you really need to learn to prioritize. So I like to write a best case and a worst case version of each day where I've prioritized the tasks I think are the most important. And the basic concept here is the most important tasks should get done even if it's a worst case scenario. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope these 10 productivity hacks revolutionize the coming year. Happy 2023.